Section 665, Deleted Portion. Now, you, Rob noted to me, Seth have been wondering whether or not to use family photographs in unknown reality. On the one hand, you see how they fit into the book, yet photographs are also connected in your mind with paintings to some degree. This is visual data, and as far as photographs are concerned, personal data, out in the open, so to speak. Your private nature makes you wonder if that involves too much disclosure, particularly where family members are concerned. The connection with paintings brings about your desire that the photographs be as perfect as possible. You do not want anyone else to have a hand in your own book, that is, in your paintings. To reproduce paintings, or in this case, photographs, seems to be tampering with them in that regard. That is, if an editor changed your copy, you would be annoyed, but reproduction, you fear, can change the copy of a photograph or a painting if it is not done properly. You consider photographs originals in that regard. The idea of disclosure, however, is more important, for you remember that your mother did not like to have her photographs taken. If you included any pictures of her, would she be annoyed? She did not like to have her picture taken on the one hand because she feared disclosure, and on the other hand because her sense of perfection was affected, particularly in later years, by an imperfect image. Your stomach began to bother you when you considered whether or not to use photographs. You have the idea of how the book can appear, a model that exists in your mind. Use the model, but let it be a flexible one, in which your ideals work with the material at hand, molding it. Do not exaggerate, however, so that the ideal seems to be a perfection that cannot be attained given the conditions. Self-disclosure and the desire for perfection are each involved then. You know that no self-disclosure will lead to perfection, and yet self-disclosure and perfection can seem to be like opposites. Do not think in terms of perfection and non-perfection, but of bringing your ideas to life, and of using photographs to express those ideas. The wonder about your mother's reaction, however, is important here. You feel she would want the family described in its best light. Your stomach became uncomfortable as those feelings tried to make themselves known. You understand that private experience, imperfect but creative, underlies the point in unknown reality. Creatively, you see the photograph's value, but they still caused a conflict between your ideas of perfection and self-disclosure, particularly as they were related to your mother's attitudes and obsession, unless you have questions. Rob said, well, with the pendulum, I had arrived at the idea that my stomach bothered me because of a conflict between painting and writing, the time I have for each. I want to do them both. It isn't that I prefer one over the other. I received the answer that I felt guilty over the conflict. When I wanted to do one, I thought I should be working on the other. They said there is also a connection with your family's photograph albums in general, and I have a suggestion to clearly give your father credit as photographer. Otherwise, regardless of what you say you thought, your mother would take my explanation as given.